On the show today, we're talking about why social media managers who only have long-term management clients are doing it all wrong.
Welcome to JFDI with the two Lauras. If you're new to the show, thank you for tuning in. You're in the right place if you're a freelance social media manager looking for tips, advice and inspiration to help you create a business you actually love working in. One that pays you so well, you really can have the freedom you want. One of the problems with being a freelancer is the constant roller coaster of winning a client and losing a client. And you can, of course, remove the risk of losing all your income by working on your client retention, but you're still stuck with the issue of hitting an income ceiling when you're trading time for money. So in this episode, we're diving into how you can remove that risk within your business and smash those income ceilings and scale your income without relying solely on long-term management clients. So let's start by talking about why it's such a bad idea to only have those long-term management clients that 99% of freelancers seem to rely on.
I think it's a bit like what you've just said, isn't it? If you've only got long-term clients, there's always a risk of losing those clients. But there's also a limit on your time of how many clients you can actually take on. Like, let's be realistic. How many clients could you take on if in the hours that you've got free now, in terms of long-term management clients? I reckon at my peak, I was probably only managing 4, maybe 5. And that was a lot for me.
Yeah, 4 or 5.
Felt heavy.
Yeah, very heavy. And my brain couldn't cope. And that's to do it well.
Yeah. And I think there's people out there who'll be like, I can help you get 100 clients. Thank you, but no thank you. I really would rather not.
And I can hear people thinking, I can hear them in their heads already. I can hear through your ears, your brain going, yeah, but you wouldn't lose them all at once. And it's
hello, COVID.
Well, yeah, but COVID aside, and any kind of pandemic, we've worked with thousands and thousands of social media marketers now, and I feel confident to say that I have seen on multiple occasions where people have lost 2 or 3 clients, all completely separately, nothing to do with one another, all within like a short period of time, like 2, 3, 4, 6 weeks maybe.
Yeah.
And imagine 1 minute you're there, and you're cushy, you've got nice income coming in. You've taken your foot off the gas with your own marketing, because why do you need to market? Because you're doing so well, and then suddenly they're gone. Yeah. And it's a scary place to be when you suddenly
feel sick thinking about it.
Yeah,
it's awful.
Yeah. So there's definitely a need to try to limit that risk. Now that's not to say that social media management or ads management shouldn't be still a large proportion of your income. That absolutely is fine. But I think there are plenty of things that freelancers can do and tweak and change within their business to help mitigate that risk.
Yeah, and I think a lot of freelancers often think, well, the safest thing would be to go and get a job. Actually, that's the safest way to mitigate that risk. But you could be made redundant, and I have been made redundant several times in the past.
And me.
Just overnight, so that doesn't mitigate the risk. And actually, that's probably more risky because you've got nothing to fall back on. So, but there are ways to reduce the risk as a freelancer, which is obviously what we're going to talk about in this podcast. But don't start thinking, oh my God, they're making it sound really terrible. I'm going to lose all my clients. I need to go and get a job. That's not the case. We're not saying that at all. And getting a job is going to, take away some of that freedom that you have.
Yeah, you have to ask for annual leave.
Yeah. Oh my God. Can you imagine having to ask for the day off? Yeah, no thanks.
I'd have run out already.
Same. Yeah, we're only in April. I probably would have run out before the bloody year started. But yeah, so don't think that you need to go and get a job. We're going to help you with other ways that you can reduce the risk in your business and increase your income, which you can't do in a job because, your salary, unless you're going to go and beg for more hours and stuff, it's not easy to do that. So we'll talk about that.
I think it's also worth saying just on that point, because we don't want it all to be doom and gloom, and a lot of this is about kind of mitigating that risk, but also it's about providing you with a more varied and interesting job, which like we're all different and not everybody will feel like this, but I very much struggled with that, the monotony. Like I loved when I got a new client and those first early weeks, and it was really kind of exciting and interesting, and I was finding all about the business. But once you kind of got into that, you groove a little bit with that client, and even if you had then 2 or 3 clients where you're in that groove, it kind of became a little bit like meh, and a bit boring.
And knowing your attention span, I can see that happening quite quickly.
Well, I used to sometimes go, I'm just going to get rid of this client and take on a new one because that would be more interesting. Like how like weird and probably quite
petty.
I can't think of the word. Well, no, like irresponsible.
Oh
like,
yeah, maybe. I suppose if you look at it like that,
yeah. Well, but I wanted to provide myself with variety in my job to keep myself interested, and just to do different things. So this isn't just about kind of the money side of it and your income, but it is about making sure that you have a really healthy business, both financially, but also based on how you're feeling about your job.
Yeah, and I think what you've just said there, like, although I didn't get bored of like the actual clients and doing stuff for them, when I'm at capacity, I feel like there's something missing because I've worked in sales all my life. So if I'm not doing that sales side, I feel like a bit not bored, but like you don't get that rush of excitement of getting a sale when you're at capacity. And if you've worked in sales and you're missing that, then this will help you. If you don't like selling, then
yeah, the best part of when I was purely freelance was when I used to win a client. I used to love it, which is probably why I got rid of other clients, just so I could have that feeling again.
Have that adrenaline rush.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, really.
Funny, isn't it? I think there's another thing to be said before we get into how you're going to do this, is that when you only do long-term management services, you can kind of leave money on the table, which we're going to talk about, but also people can be frustrated because they can come to you, they really want to work with you, but maybe they are not in the right niche for you. Maybe you're like, don't really want to take you on long term. Maybe they can't afford your budget yet, but they really want to work with you. And when you have got other options, then you can take that money off the table and you can help people in lots of different ways. You can give them lots of different options in terms of time investment, in terms of budget investment, in terms of like some people don't want to outsource everything, but they still want to work with you because they know that you are the person who could potentially help them. Whereas if you only do management, then they physically can't work with you. So I think it's also about giving people options, isn't it?
100%. And I've talked about this before, and I've had clients where, yes, they ultimately became management clients and they became good management clients from a kind of income perspective. But that's not where they started. And they started off by coming to the workshops I used to deliver. They bought strategies only off me. I've done audits for them. I'd done one-to-one training with them. So that, I'd done a variety of different things with them before they came that management client, because at the time when they first started, they couldn't afford to outsource and they weren't ready to. So there are in many respects, lots of ways that you can nurture businesses to help with your taking on new clients as well. So it can aid that finding management clients as well.
Yeah. So then the thing we're going to talk about mostly in this episode is what we call the offer triangle. And it's a business framework that we would suggest all freelancers use, and we'll explain how it works. So if you think of a triangle, at the top of the triangle, you have got your long-term management clients. So that's who you're currently working with, your long-term clients, people who are trying to get to hire you right now. And they are paying you every month. Hopefully they're paying you on time, but they're paying you every single month. And you don't have like reassurance that they're going to pay you, because they obviously might not, but in your mind, you have got this client who's going to pay you month after month. And it could be that they're not necessarily a long-term client in terms of management. They might be a long-term coaching client or a long-term consulting business, that you're working with. But it's somebody who's paying you month after month. And theoretically, you could automate that invoice because it's going to be paid every month, right? And that's like where the risk is that we've just been talking about, and that lack of variety. Then on a triangle, you've got 2 other points. So we're going to talk about those 2 other points mostly in this episode. And the first one of those points is where you're working one-to-one with somebody once. So they're your one-to-one offers. The other point is your group offers. So you're working with a group of people, and we'll talk about how that could work. So this is a business framework that we use ourselves. we've used in our freelance businesses for years. We've helped other people do this in their business, and it will help you to reduce that risk. So you're not just working with those one-to-one clients. It will give you the variety because you're doing different services, different offers. And it means that you can increase your income anytime that you want to. So, for example, if you decided, oh, okay, it's April, the weather outside is really crappy. I'm just looking out the window right now and it's literally chucking it down. And you think, I really want a holiday. I'm going to book a holiday for June. You can go out and you've got ways that you can go and get that money by using this offer triangle. So let's talk. Should we talk about how we've used the offer triangle in our business?
Yeah, 100%.
If you work on Instagram, you're probably facing the same frustrations that we are lately when it comes to the Instagram Reels builder. It seems to have a mind of its own, and you can spend forever creating what seems to be the perfect video, only for all of the edits to suddenly go weird and the text to fall off when it goes live to your audience, which can be really embarrassing, especially if it's for a client. So it might be worth starting to create your videos elsewhere. That's why we think you should check out Adobe Express. You can get started on Adobe Express for free, and they have tons of free professionally designed templates for videos for any social media channel, including Instagram. Once you've created your videos, you can really quickly resize them so you can use them on other channels too. They've got filters, they've got animations, they've got all of the things that you would expect from a really great video editing tool. And you can also use Adobe Express stock design assets, whether it's royalty-free stock music, videos, graphics, fonts, and all sorts of other things. You can make all sorts of social media content in minutes in Adobe Express, whether it's a tutorial or an ad campaign or anything else for yourself or for your clients. And the brilliant thing about Adobe Express is that not only is it largely free, but you've got a built-in free social media scheduler. So if you've been relying on Meta for their scheduling tool and found that sometimes they can go a little bit janky and your posts can completely disappear, then you're going to love this. The social media scheduler in Adobe Express allows you to schedule up to 1,000 posts per month for absolutely nothing on all of the social channels. And you can really quickly drag in all of the content that you've created inside Adobe into the scheduler. And then you can turn your ideas into content using their built-in AI. We'll pop the link in the show notes so you can go and check it out, or just go to adobe.com/express.
So I mainly, obviously, had my management clients. I then, as a side to that, I had workshops. So that was like my group offer. So I used to do face-to-face group training, just local to me. I can see like Laura like twitching at the thought of being face-to-face with people. But I missed that. Not loads. Like I don't need to be with people all the time, but I miss that, having that kind of contact with people. So I started doing workshops face to face, small groups. I used to run 2 or 3 a month. Used to plan and work them around like school holidays and stuff. So they were really kind of flexible, great income, and so easy. Like once you delivered one, I was just essentially I had 3 different workshop topics. And yes, the first one was always a bit nerve-wracking, but then I'd tweak and kind of refine it. And then after that, it was just turning up, delivering it. It was really easy, always met really nice people. As I've mentioned, some of the people who came onto my workshops also then ended up becoming clients as well. So that, and I've got a background in training and group training. That's like where I kind of came from. So I suppose it was natural to do that. On a one-to-one, I definitely did a lot more kind of audits and some power hours, but I used to love doing audits and a couple of strategies, but my main kind of one-to-one offer was audits, I guess. And then I also used to do group training in-house as well, which you could argue is probably one-to-one because it's one business to one business.
Yeah.
So I'd just turn up, do a full day's in-house training, and then go again. And it was great. Always, yes, needed a little bit of preparation because it was personalised to their business, which I guess is different to the workshops I would used to do. But, and they were good money makers, if I'm being honest. And I used to love doing those. So they were the kind of things that I did on the whole, and obviously dabbled with different things, but they were the things that I was kind of repeatedly offering because I was kind of confident to do them, and they worked and people wanted them.
Mm. And I, like on a one-to-one side, I would do audits and strategies and stuff like that. But mostly I would do power hours, and I would do a lot of power hours. I love doing power hours. All you need to do is rock up on Zoom and answer questions for an hour. Like, it's, for me, I find that the easiest thing to deliver. So I would do power hours at least once a day, sometimes multiple every day. But they're brilliant because you can fit them in. Like you just said, in the school holidays, I wouldn't do any. But during term time,
I'd have had to have had a lie down after one.
Which makes me laugh, the amount of time we spend on Zoom now.
I know, yeah.
The amount of questions I ask you. But yeah, power hours I loved doing, but they were one-to-one. Quite often people would have more than one power hour with me. Sometimes they might book like a block of 3 or what have you, or sometimes they'd just come back a month or two later. And yeah, I love doing those. And then I would also do, my group offer was live masterclasses online. So they would be on Zoom. And this was like pre-pandemic, where people didn't really know how Zoom worked. So trying to get people to actually get onto the Zoom was the biggest challenge of the whole masterclasses when I first started. And actually, when I very first started doing masterclasses, I just used to do them as a Facebook Live in a group. And so I would sell the masterclass, they'd get into the group, and I would just do a live in the group, which was actually easier than doing it on Zoom back then. These days, probably not, because of the algorithm not showing your video to the right people. But yeah, I would do masterclasses. They would be on one really specific topic. And the reason that I like doing masterclasses instead of workshops is because there's not all that many places around near me that I could go and do an in-person workshop. In terms of venue hire, it'd be quite expensive. Like you said, I don't really like going out that often. Don't really like being in person with people. COVID made me a little bit paranoid because of William. So I don't really like doing that anyway. And online, I just find it's easier because even if William was off sick, for example, that day, I know I've only got an hour where I need somebody to sit with him and I can crack on and I can do that masterclass. Whereas if I needed to go out, then I'd have to drive there, I'd have to park, I'd have to do it. And, and it would be a lot more time for me to kind of worry about. So online masterclasses worked really well. And then sometimes I would sell the recording, sometimes I wouldn't. Just really depend on what I wanted to do. But yeah, so my offer triangle was like long-term clients, one-to-one would be power hours, and then group would be masterclasses.
And I think just on that point about why you didn't do workshops, I do think understanding the geography of where you are is important. Like if you're in the arse end of nowhere and wanting to put on a workshop and you want it local to you, but you're in a little village, you just got to think realistically, are people going to travel? I'm very well placed in that I'm just on the edge of Birmingham City. So it's like 25 minutes, depending on where you are, obviously, in the city, to get to where I am. Quite a populated area, lots of small businesses around here, so I'd kind of done my research and I knew that there was an audience for that. Whereas, you're on the coast, you've only got a semicircle.
Yeah, I've got half the area of you.
Yeah, I've got a full circle, full circumference.
They can't see what you're doing with your fingers on a podcast, right?
Sorry, I was drawing a circle.
Audio descriptions needed.
Yeah, you can invite some fish.
Yeah, I don't think they pay very well. Anyway, no. But there's lots of other things that you could do in your offer triangle. So let's talk about all the different things. So we've already said at the top, you can have like your long-term management clients, you could have long-term like coaching clients and things like that, but you could have a membership.
Yeah, content creation.
Yeah. Anything where someone can pay you month after month after month, but it doesn't have to be management.
Yeah, it can be consultancy. So you can just work on a regular basis on a bit of a retainer with a company. So you're just consulting, you're not doing.
Yeah, definitely. There's loads of different things that you could do like that. One-to-ones, you could do, like we've said, audits and strategies. And if you've got the social media manager's toolkit, there's templates in there for those. If you haven't got that, we'll make sure that the link's in the show notes. You could do power hours like I did. You might want to do loads like I did, or you might not want to, depending on time-wise.
Just one a month, like me.
Yeah. But you could kind of take that a little bit further and make it a VIP day. So it's not just an hour. You could do a whole day like with somebody in person, or even on Zoom. You could split it into 2 half days kind of thing. You could do VIP done for you days. So it's not that you're doing something with somebody, you're doing something for them. So maybe they're paying for you for a whole day and you during that day are just doing content creation for the whole day, for example.
You could do the consulting as well, but just as a one-off. So
Yeah.
someone pays you X amount of money, and you're gonna consult with them for the next 6 weeks or whatever. So it's just a one-off payment on a one-to-one point of view.
Yeah, totally. There's so many different things you could do one-to-one, like just creating somebody a load of content once a month.
Yeah.
You know, creating somebody a load of templates, anything like that. A Voxer day where somebody can just ask you questions on Voxer all day. A day where you go and audit their ad account, all of these things that are just one-off things, perfect for one-to-one offers. And then in terms of group offers, like we've already spoken about in-person workshops and online masterclasses, but you might have digital products. So you might maybe create like a template pack. You might have an online course, which you could deliver live, or you could pre-record it. You could sell it like in a launch, or you could have it running evergreen in the background. There's loads of different things you could do. You could have an audio-based course where it's all just delivered on a podcast feed. You could have a paid podcast. So instead of having a free podcast like this, you could do a weekly podcast, but people have to pay to listen. And that could be like a group offer because they might just pay for a year, for example, or that could turn into a membership and they have to pay every single month. Like there's so many different options out there for you.
You could do group coaching.
Oh God, this is giving me loads of ideas of things we want to do now.
A group Voxer day.
Yes, yeah.
There's loads of things. The world is
the
your
world
oyster.
is your oyster. If you think about our business and how our business works, our group offers would be our long-term offer for this particular business would be the Inner Hub membership. Our group offer for this particular business would be the Social Media Managers Toolkit. And our one-to-one offer for this business would be that we have Voxer days. So you can think about how that could work in your business. And then, what works best for you time-wise, what works best for your audience, what works best in terms of like financially, what would be better for you to bring in the money that you want to bring in.
And I think on that point, nothing has to be set in stone. So like we've discussed, like Laura would do power hours all the time. I would just do them willy-nilly. It was kind of when I was a bit bored and wanted, to have a bit of variety, or whether I wanted a bit of an injection of cash, I'd suddenly go out there and say, right, I've got capacity for 4 power hours this month. And I'd make, 500 quid off the back of it. So you don't have to be like, right, well, every month I am going to do this and I'm going to do that. We will even now we'll say, right, okay, well, we've got some capacity this month. Let's do some online masterclasses, and we work it around our lives and our whatever commitments we have in the business. So you don't have to sit there and think, okay, for the next year, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. It doesn't have to be work like that. You can be really kind of quite fluid about it. You can also, if you don't like it, like some people might hate power hours. They might just not be their thing. And so you might do a couple of them and go, oh, you know what, this isn't for me. I'm not going to do this anymore. But I love writing strategies for people. So that's going to be my one-to-one. And it's absolutely fine to just pick and choose what you want when you want it, dependent on you and your personality, depending on what's right for you in your life and your business at that time. So don't kind of feel you've got to commit to things. Just, it's your business. Just, you can be totally flexible about this.
Yeah, you can choose whatever you do in your business at any time. That's the whole point of having your own business.
The beauty, to kind of go back to where we kind of started from in terms of that risk when you lose clients, the beauty of this is if you lost a client tomorrow and you were worried about replacing it, maybe you haven't been marketing yourself much, maybe you haven't got kind of like that pipeline of leads to go to, you could just say, okay, well, I obviously need to start marketing myself, but we all know that doesn't necessarily result in clients overnight. So in the meantime, what I am going to do is I'm going to do a masterclass next month, and I'm going to do 10 power hours over the next 2 months. And that's going to more than replace my income. I don't know about the maths on that, but you know what I mean? And the more you've done that in the past, the easier it is to turn that around. If you've delivered a masterclass a year ago on Instagram Reels, you could easily probably just give it a bit of a refresh and whack it out there and sell spots like literally the next day, well, the same day. So the more you do these things, the more easy it is to be really kind of reactive to the situation that you're in. Likewise, if things happen, so, look at COVID and the pandemic. It's a perfect example of that. And lots of people, unfortunately, lost clients. But the marketers and the freelancers out there who had experience of delivering online training very quickly were able to turn around and go, okay, this is how you can bring your business online, and were able to help deliver training to people because they'd done it before. So having that kind of arsenal in your back pocket is really such a good skill to help you in lots of different situations. So don't kind of think, oh yeah, well, I'll do this when I next need to. Like, I wouldn't wait till then, because when you need to, you'll kind of regret the fact that you haven't sorted out how to do your sales page, how to get a checkout, how to get people on that Zoom, how to do all the tech, all of that malarkey. So don't put these things off and waiting for the time that you have to find the income. Like, start kind of trying to find time in your working week now to factor that in.
Yeah, and it's not a case of, oh, okay, I'm going to put aside a time to map out my offer triangle. No, let's just have a bit of our JFDI mindset and just think to yourself, right, okay, I've only got long-term clients at the moment. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add power hours to my offer triangle, or I'm going to add masterclasses, or whatever it is. Just pick one thing to start and just get it done. And do that as soon as you can. Like, after listening to this podcast, don't come off this podcast fired up thinking, yes, this is going to work for me, and then not do anything about it for another year. Literally, you could go and put out into the world, put an Instagram story on your, on your Instagram today, saying, by the way, did you know I sell power hours? Do you want to book one? DM me. It's as easy as that. All you need to do then is get paid and rock up to a Zoom.
And if you're thinking, oh, I won't be able to do that, because if they say, yes, how do I take payment? In the very early days when I started doing power hours, I would just send an invoice, and you all know how to send an invoice because you're doing that for clients. So I would send an invoice, they would do me a back transfer, I would send them a Zoom link. That was it. So don't let kind of tech put you off.
Yeah, and I just would send them a PayPal. I'd just say, pay me a PayPal, and then here's the Zoom link. Easy.
Yeah.
Don't let the tech hold you back.
There you go. I dare you. I double dare you to go and post on your social media offering something from the offer triangle.
Yes, do it. Do it. And if you're thinking, okay, hang on a minute, but is this going to work for me? Like, how much money can I really make? Financially, is this really going to help me? We've got something that's going to help you to figure this out. So we have a very special calculator, which is like, it's got these little slidey things on it. So you can slide up and down how much you want to charge, what you want to offer, all of this sort of stuff. When I showed Laura this calculator, her response in Slack was OMG with lots of G's.
OMG!
Yeah. So, and you can have access to this for free. So if you want to have access to this, go to thetwolauras.com/106. That's the number of this podcast. So 106. And you'll be able to log in there. It will give you a refresher about how the offer triangle works, like how it can work for you. And then you can just use this calculator and you can easily see how much additional income you can make this month and throughout the rest of the year if you were to continue doing that, whatever it is that you put into the calculator. And I tell you what, you might be slightly mind blown about how much money you could make by doing this. So go and grab that link. It's thetwolauras.com/106 and then drop into our Instagram DMs and tell us how much your offer triangle could make you this month. We're really, really interested.
Oh, yeah, nice.
And, let us know if you've got any struggles with how you could implement this. We're here for it. Let us know. We can help you.
So that's it. We will be back same time next week. We look forward to seeing all your posts on social media and hearing how much moolah you are going to be making. So do let us know and we'll speak to you next week.
Exciting.
Bye.
Bye.